Hi, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about questions you should ask in OET speaking. I think it's too common that students do nothing but talk in the OET speaking, which I get. I mean, it is a speaking test. But one thing you should know is that the speaking test is actually a role play or a conversation between you and the patient. And so, unfortunately, if you're the only person talking in the whole role play, that's actually a failing grade. Here we're going to find out how we can also get the patient to talk so that we can have a two-way communication and answer the critical and more important parts of the OET speaking criteria. Starting with, how do you feel? Now, I know a lot of students might think that this is just a question to get out of the way immediately and move on to the real part of the interview or role play, when in fact, this question actually answers the first criteria, which is relationship building. In relationship building, you need to make sure that you show empathy for feelings, predicament, or emotional state of the patient. All that means to say in simple English is that you show you care about how the patient feels. And what better way to do that than to simply ask, how are you feeling? Have you been doing well? Are you feeling okay? Is everything comfortable? Anything I can help with? Now, when you ask this question, this usually leads to the patient opening up about a problem. And now it would be the perfect time to ask, could you tell me more about your problem? So I get that in the OET speaking task card, most of the information you need about the problem is already there. But don't be so hasty to think that you should rely on just what the task card says and completely ignore anything the patient has to speak up about. Because the truth is, you really should be confirming with the patient, asking them more information, if not exploring their needs and concerns. This answers the next part of the criteria, which is understanding and incorporating the patient's perspective. It says here, one of the things you need to do is to elicit and explore patients' ideas, concerns, or expectations. In layman terms, all that means to say is you should ask the question, ask the patient about her problem. Don't just go, oh, how are you feeling today, ma'am? I have a really bad headache. Oh, no. Well, anyway, I'm here to give you your medication because I don't really care about what you just said and I'm going to completely ignore what you just said. That's a failing grade already in terms of understanding the patient's perspective. You need to ask them questions like, what? Your head hurts? When did this start? How long has this been ongoing? Could you tell me more about how it feels? How painful it is from 1 to 10? Those are the questions that will help you answer this criteria and get the patient to talk more, which I said is very important if you want a passing grade in OET speaking. The fourth question is, you just said ... Is that correct? Now, I know a lot of students will tend to just go, okay, yes, yes. But that's what I call passive listening. Passive listening is when you simply just nod your head and keep going okay, even though you're not really listening to what the patient has to say. What they're gauging for in this next criteria, which is information gathering, they need you to clarify statements which are vague or need amplification, and one way to do that is to repeat exactly what the patient said word for word, and then clarify or confirm, is this correct? So when we start the conversation, how do you feel today, ma'am? Oh, I have a splitting headache. It hurts so much. Oh no, could you please tell me more about your problem? Well, it started last night and I've been taking aspirin pills to fix it, but after finishing a whole bottle, my head still hurts. Then you should stop and say, "Wait a minute, ma'am. Did you just say that you finished a whole bottle of aspirin when your head started to hurt last night? Is that correct?" Then you'll be able to clarify, get more accurate information, and be able to show the patient that you're taking good care of them. The fifth and last question that we should ask, well, actually this is the fourth question, not the last, so we have two more. This fourth question is, was everything I said clear? Now, there will come a part in the role play where you will get to talk. You'll be explaining things, talking about treatment plans or procedures, giving them the steps 1, 2, 3. But a huge problem I notice with a lot of nurses is they get extremely medical and extremely technical. When in reality, the patients they're conversing with will be laymen, if not your average Joes who have not gone to nursing school or studied a single medical term in their life, or at least that's one safe way to go about it. So after giving them the steps 1, 2, 3, don't stop there. Ask them, was everything I said clear? And if they say yes, then you can move right along to the next portion. If they say no, then that's a great excuse for you to waste more time by repeating everything you just said. The last question, and I think a lot of students need to focus on also instead of avoiding, because this will really help with that last criteria, information giving, where not only should you check whether the patient has understood information, you should also be asking, what else would you like to know? Now, I get a lot of students might be scared of this question because if the patient ends up asking them about things they know nothing about, then they feel that they're getting a low grade. When in reality, the criteria does not care about your medical knowledge. The criteria is not checking for how smart you are. It's checking for relationship building, understanding the patient's perspective, your ability to gather information, and now your ability to give information, which also includes discovering what further information the patient needs. And the simplest way to do that is just ask what else you would like to know. If by chance you don't know the answer to the next question they ask you, all you have to do is say, I don't know. I'll ask the doctor and get back to you. You don't need to know all the answers, especially in the hospital. I pray that when a patient asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, that you will not pretend to know the answer. I pray you will not invent answers to questions you know nothing about. The best way is to admit, I don't know, say, I'll ask the doctor and get back to you. Not just in the OET role play, but especially in the hospital setting where the information we give could be the difference between life or death. Otherwise, that's it for this top 5 questions that you should be asking in all OET role plays. For more tips, messages at SG Recruitment Official. Enroll now in SGT. Otherwise, thanks so much for your time and good luck with your review.